Hello, friends. I'm Mac Wilson from The Current, and I have a special guest in The Current studio today, Madison Cunningham. Hello, Madison.
Hello.
So you are in town playing at the Fine Line tonight. It's good to have you back around these parts. I was looking into our archives about the last time that you were around here, and I don't know if this is the exact date, but you opened up for Calexico and Iron and Wine.
Yes,
a couple of years back.
That's right. In the before times, as we like to call them.
Yeah, right. I was looking up online and said, watch a complete set from Madison Cunningham, and it was part of that live stream.
That's right. We were at is it called the Palace Theater?
I believe it was at the Palace,
yeah. I think that's where we were. We opened for them for Iron and Wine and Calexico did a joint tour, and that was serious. I don't think we understood how blissful that stretch of touring was, because weeks later everything kind of started to burn down.
I believe it was Valentine's Day 2020. So if somebody is going back and looking at it,
it was Valentine's Day.
It was weeks before that. So Madison, there's a lot that I'd like to talk to you about, including the new record on the way. But I wanted to ask about your time here in St. Paul, in particular, when you were part of the Live From Here repertoire. Were you based out of St. Paul proper? I mean, obviously you were all over the place playing with Live From Here, but did you consider St. Paul your home base?
Well, for the show, it was. I mean, I'm from Los Angeles, so I lived there. I was telling my band earlier that the Minneapolis airport is probably the airport I've gone to the most, because I think I appeared on that show 25 times as Chris's duet partner, and a lot of it was based in St. Paul at the Fitzgerald Theater. So yeah, I mean, Life From Here was how I paid rent. So I was here like almost every weekend, it felt like.
So as part of the Live From Here crew, as you said, his duet partner, how much planning were you involved with in the layout of any given episode?
Not a ton. I mean, sometimes I would be asked to give input on what songs we would play, and sometimes Chris and I would have a back and forth on that. But for the most part, there was just this massive team that was making kind of the layout run smoothly, and Chris was behind a lot of that. I basically just had to cram a bunch of pieces that were some of the most difficult musical pieces that I had heard once a week, really.
Imagine that, Chris Thile coming up with something difficult and complex.
And also just expecting that everyone could do it like he could, but which was also kind of a wonderful environment, because he really had faith in all of us, more than he probably should have, and I think that's what got it off the ground.
Chris Thile, he's one of those people where you chat with him once or twice and you realize that this guy, he could have done absolutely anything he wanted. He could have been a brain surgeon.
Very true.
Absolutely anything, and you're just kind of in awe being around him on any given day.
So true. He's the opposite of jack of all trades, master of none. He's like master of all trades.
So Madison, you're headlining this show tonight at the Fine Line, but you're also doing support for a bunch of artists over the next couple of weeks, including Lake Street Dive and Mount Joy. And even looking at your calendar, it seems like on any given night, you'll be doing support or headlining. Mentally, how do you switch back and forth between, the stage is mine for the night and giving support to another artist?
It's a great question. It's a little bit jarring. They're just two different headspaces. One is you walk on a stage that you know you're going to have to prove something on. I mean, there's pressure on either stage, but you feel a little bit more at home knowing that the audience is there to see what you do in particular. But yet, I think the other side to that coin is that there's this sort of like reckless abandon that you have when you're the opener, because you're like, I'm not the one who has to pull tickets tonight. I can just do whatever. And it's a liberating feeling.
I almost feel a similar way on the air at the Current lately. I've been doing all sorts of shifts, like literally mornings one week, middays another week, and then afternoons the next week, to the point where I have to go, okay, which week is it? Which day of the week is it? So I can relate to that, believe it or not.
Yeah, I know. I believe you. I really do.
We are here in the Current studio with Madison Cunningham. So Madison, you've got a new record on the way called Revealer, and you've been revealing a couple of these songs in our studio, so to speak, playing Hospital and Anywhere, and then In From Japan. Hospital is the one that we've been diving into, and there's a lot of metaphors in that song. What was the focal point that you started as the springboard for composing that tune?
Ooh, God, God, it all came in different phases. And I wrote that one. I usually take a lot of months to finish songs because they just come in these particular phases that take time. And this in this particular instance, it was a writing prompt that one of my songwriting heroes gave me. And the prompt was to write a song that just had like 5 chords, and all of the focus should be on the melody was the idea. And so I just went through my notes. I wrote this one in about a week because we had this cycle going where I would meet him on his porch, and I would have to have a new song every week to kind of go through with him. So I knew I had to finish it by Friday. I started it on Monday, and I think I just went through my notes, and I had a bunch of random metaphors and lines in my notes, and one of them was regret is like an infant that won't let you sleep it off. And I wanted to utilize that, but I didn't quite know how. So the first verse just kind of like stayed in this limbo state for a while. And then when I finally filled it in, dug through some more notes and kind of like filled in the blanks, I finally made my way to the chorus, and all the lyrics just kind of came after that.
Now that you mention it, that's a very evocative thing, and that's exactly what it is when you have kids, whether infants or otherwise, that no matter how exhausting the night is, you have to be up at a given time, and there's no time off. It's like, the one thing that I need right now is an extra 2 hours of sleep, and that's the one thing that you can't get. So,
well, the one thing, it's the opposite of what your child who completely relies on you needs. It needs like all of your attention at all times. And I'm not a mother, I should preface, but I am the oldest of 5 daughters, and I remember a lot of sleepless nights hearing my younger sisters just screaming their heads off. So I can relate in that sense.
Are you ready to divulge who your songwriting muse is?
Oh man. I mean, that list is really long at this point for so many different reasons, but I mean, probably one of the obvious ones would be Joni. She was kind of one of the first people that I listened to that gave me permission to write in a more unveiled way. She seems to not have any rules about the way that she writes or what she speaks about, and that was maybe the first example I had of that as a young aspiring songwriter. And yeah, I mean, Rufus Wainwright's a big one. I know I'm going to space on so many people that I love right now because that's just what happens. But of course, I do love Bob Dylan. He was another I think gateway drug into just a certain way of writing. And Mike Viola actually is the guy I was talking about earlier, who's definitely one of my current songwriting muses. He just always kind of gets it right.
See, my guess was going to be Dan Wilson, but Mike Viola, that fits too.
Dan too. Dan is incredible. They both are for different reasons. Yeah, I mean, Dan is another muse for sure.
Dan's absolutely like, he has the oblique strategies. Like, that's something that he would come up with. Like, hey, you're going to write using X number of chords. You're going to write one song a week, like keeping you on a schedule like that. So it's similar with Mike. Then?
I mean, they're similar in that they are the same way. They are so regimented and so prolific, and that they just make all of these kind of limitations for themselves, and they never let up. It's crazy. They both write so much music.
So maybe this is getting off track a little bit, but I'm curious because it's something I was thinking about earlier today, reading about Bob Dylan, reading about some of the stuff that he recorded in the 1980s, that there was a prompt on Twitter a couple of years ago that said, "What is the best song that you've never heard?" And that feels like a paradox, but I'm like, it's probably something Bob Dylan put out in a rarities collection or the 80s or something that you just haven't gotten around to hearing yet. That for as much as we appreciate his music, he's been so prolific over the years, there's probably stuff that we have yet to even discover.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, there's so many artists who are probably, it's the same, situation. I mean, I would imagine Joni is another one of the best songs we've never heard. Or any of those artists that I named.
We are in the current studio with Madison Cunningham. Revealer is the new album on the way. We're wishing you luck, and we're enjoying hearing the new songs from it in our studio today.
Thank you.